9 game ideas, 6 pitches, 3 playable demos, 1 full game. That is the basis of Project Nonagon. A project that I may or may not be too underqualified to complete, but it's a challenge I'm willing to go forth with anyway. For reference, my experience with game dev is limited to my first year of university, in which I'm doing a game development course, and that whole first year was mostly just understanding how to use Unreal Engine, with the more scary ideas like optimization coming in the second and third years. Now, moving on to the actual project, what did I do for... Stage 1 was simply the idea phase, where I presented 9 elevator pitch-like ideas I had for games to my group of stakeholders. I did this by quickly setting up a Squarespace website, not sponsored, in which it had all 9 of these ideas. For this iteration of the project, I've decided to separate the games into 3 genres I most enjoy playing, with that being horror, RPG, and shooters. Though I called this section action as one of the ideas was very loosely a shooter and action just made more sense. But if I ever redo this project, I'll probably not put in this limiter. Now I do have to admit, one part I already regret with how I went forward with this project is how I used AI generated art as the placeholder game covers. I know. Crucify me, make me play through Dark Souls 2 without upgrading adaptability, or send me to the depths of hell, but I just wanted to move past this stage as quickly as possible and push these ideas out there so I could actually start working on them properly. And so, these were the ideas. For the horror genre, first was Sinner, a point and click where you've been kidnapped and trapped inside of a house with little recollection of what happened. Your goal is to escape this house, however there seems to be someone or something trapped inside with you. It would have the creature hunting the player, reacting to their actions, and the game would follow a pixelated 32-bit look, similar to the old school horror games like Clock Tower. Next was Another World. Influenced by the PS1 era of survival horror, you awaken in the middle of a foggy neighborhood. While escape is very accessible, the player will be unable to leave as they are compelled to know the truth, and exploring the neighborhood will unveil Lovecraftian horrors that guard the truth. This whole game would be a love letter to this era. Finally, for horror was Memento Mori. Playing as a surgeon in an underground facility that does tests on extraterrestrial beings, you simply work on performing autopsies on these alien cadavers, at least until they break out and start hunting you in an Outlast-style gameplay loop. The added caveat here would be that your actions would be learnt by these aliens as they adapt to your playstyle. Your only choices are to run, hide, and use your understanding of the alien biology to set traps to slow them down from chasing you. For the action games, first I had Split Shot, a competitive PvPvE shooter pitting 2 teams of 5 against each other, one with the goal of evacuating the civilians of the radiated zone, the other with the goal of making sure there are no witnesses. The idea here was to have each operative have 3 variations that changes their ability kits, but not the main playstyle. In addition to the destructible environment, the NPCs within these levels would have their own agendas, rallying up against one team, hiring another team to do the tasks for them, and more. Next was The Core, a flow-state first-person shooter set in a technological utopia where the player carries around the one and only perfect energy core. Instead of swapping out magazines, clips, or other types of ammunition that other FPS games utilize, the player would swap out the weapon frame to then attach to the energy core to use as the source of ammunition, with the game bolstering a cel-shaded neon hybrid look. Finally, for the action games was Brothers by Machine, a co-op game where 2 brothers who have been subjected to experiments with the sole purpose of transforming biological matter into machine are sent on do-or-die missions. One brother would have a hack-and-slash combo playstyle reminiscent of Devil May Cry or the original God of War games. The other brother would follow a cover shooter playstyle reminiscent of Gears of War or Uncharted. The idea is to have these 2 drastically different game modes dynamically interact with each other with the likes of reactive environments and enemies. The color palette of this game would have a neo-noir aesthetic where it's predominantly monochrome, with the exception of one sole color, like in Saboteur or Sin City. Then were the RPG games. Timeout was a 2D top-down hack and slash where the player enters a time loop cycle across the generations where they train with the ancestors, harnessing different types of fighting abilities, all while the time they have to beat the levels can be used to purchase temporary or permanent upgrades. Not Everybody Can Be a Hero would have been a fully customizable third-person superhero experience where you get to take any path you want within a bustling city. Vigilante, anti-hero, symbol of hope, superpowers, gadgets, all of it would be entirely customizable dependent on the choices you make. Thankfully, there's no game like that. Right? And Tech Port, yes, I know the name sucks, all of these are temporary placeholder names, deal with it, would be set in a cyberpunk medieval fantasy world, with the player character being intertwined with all three aspects of that world: mercenaries, wizards, and cybernetics in a Souls-like manner. With that, I had all of my stakeholders DM me their choices with which 2 games per genre they wanted to see the most progress forward into the next stage of the project. Now, drumroll please. The games that would be moving forward would be Sinner, Another World, The Core, Brothers by Machine, Timeout, and Techpour. Side note, Splitshot got 0 votes. Anyway, with stage 1 complete, it was time to move to stage 2, which is covered in the next devlog because this video is already dragging quite a bit and editing is no joke.